How you going, people? Somebody asked, pretty good question. I can't teach you disarming techniques and all the maneuvers. I mean, when we went through our instructor class for teaching, I don't know, 124 moves for takedowns, twists, wrist locks, arm bars, you know, breaking arms, all this stuff. When we were teaching all this, just to become an instructor, it was a 2 or 3 week class every day in the gym, 8 hours a day. Constantly doing these maneuvers on each other, escaping the maneuvers, doing the escapes for different things. So trying to teach somebody all of these on a video without having in person, having it done to you is very difficult. And these techniques for disarming are much more effective when you feel the pain and you understand how the wrist and the bones get locked up and how that torque happens, and you feel that pain. So, and you get thrown and you land and you understand that when I do this on somebody, it's going to work, because I know when it was done to me, it hurt like shit and it was pretty damn effective, and I knew what was going to happen. So the guy, somebody asked, and it's a pretty good question, how can you tell if a gun's on safe or not on safe, or if a guy doesn't know what he's doing? Now obviously I just grabbed a few guns real quick that was kind of laying around the house. I didn't want to pull out all the different kinds, but I got a few revolvers and a couple of semi-automatics. So now on a gangster carry, I just did a video where a cop did this, that I call it the gangster can't. This is too much of a can't. However, if I'm shooting one hand and I cant my gun a little bit, it makes my wrist more of an extension straight out versus like this. This is not as sturdy as this. So if I'm teaching, if I've got a flashlight and I'm nervous, we would actually teach cops to cant your gun a little bit. And that steadies up your grip and it straightens this arm out versus this awkward twisting the elbow in. It's not as solid, it has a little cant. Now I'm not talking about this kind of cant, I'm talking about this. Hollywood and gangsters are doing all this shit. So how can you tell if somebody knows what they're doing with a gun? Well, if they're holding a gun like this, it doesn't necessarily mean they don't know what they're doing, but it probably means they got their training from TV. Because this isn't a very sturdy stance. Now, I can shoot and hit a target, and I can aim a gun like this, but it's not normal. It's not practiced that way. Some guy could practice it. So, if I'm looking at a guy holding a gun, what am I looking for? Well, if he's holding a revolver, there's a Smith 686 before they put that stupid safety on, one of the good old ones. So as I'm holding this, if I'm holding this pistol with all my fingers at the bottom and I'm ordering people around, that's a clue. Because my finger should either be in the trigger if I know what I'm doing. If I'm safety, I'm not going to have my finger on the trigger, I'm going to have it off. But that's cops and military and somebody who's trained appropriately. Most gangsters and crooks are not trained, so their fingers are going to be on the trigger, which makes them a little bit more dangerous. So if they're holding their finger off the trigger, they probably know what they're doing. They've got some training. If they're holding on the trigger, they know what they're doing better than if they got their grip like this. You, get over there, and you, and he's just holding it as a handle. So he really can't get to the trigger. If I see a guy holding a gun like this, I'm going to be more apt to charge him and rush him, because I know he's going to have to think to get his finger from around the grip and get on the trigger. So the other thing that I want to look for is the way the guy's holding it with his second hand. On a revolver, most people are taught to have this hand back here. And people that shoot automatically this way get hurt. However, somebody that hasn't been trained may be holding the gun like this, and that's going to block this hammer. So if their hand is behind the hammer, that's where I want my hand to be. When I grab a revolver, and all these guns are loaded, by the way, so everybody's going to be panicking. Oh, he's got loaded, he's not safe. Shut up. My damn video. If you're afraid to get shot through the camera, get off. So this is where I want my hand to go on a revolver. If I can trap this hammer right here, you cannot pull the trigger because the hammer can't go back. So if I can get my hand here and stop that, when I go for a disarm and grab, I get my fingers right around here and I try to grab this so I can prevent that hammer from cocking. So that's when I go for a gun on a revolver, I'm reaching for that back area. I want to make sure and get one of my fingers on that hammer and grip this gun and grip this cylinder, because when you cock, hopefully I won't shoot a hole in the wall. I don't like messing with a loaded gun, but I got to show you here in a second. I don't want to load and reload. So when you cock, the cylinder spins. So as that cylinder spins, that loads the round that's going to be fired. So if you grab a gun in this cylinder and you hold tight, you can't pull the trigger because you stop the cylinder from spinning. So if the cylinder can't spin, the gun can't fire. So in a revolver, if you stop the hammer from going back or you stop the cylinder from spinning, the gun's not firing. So for the person grabbing the gun, that's how I want to grab it. Now, for the person holding the gun, again, if his finger ain't on the trigger, if he's gripping with his trigger finger, if he's got the second hand blocking his own hammer, he probably doesn't understand how it works. He may be running around with the gun cocked and doing all this, which makes it even better. But then if I grab, I am still going for this area to block this hammer. If I can get my finger in between that hammer and where it's going to close, it may hurt, but he can't fire the gun. If I can get that hammer, he can't fire the gun. So again, being careful. Okay, the other thing to know about revolvers is how can you tell if they're loaded? By looking at them, is if you're in a well-lit area, you're going to be able to see the rounds. I know I'm putting my gun right. You can see the rounds in this cylinder. There's rounds here and around here. If this gun was empty, you could not see those rounds. I'm not sure if you can see the round down the barrel. On an automatic, that would matter. But on a revolver, this bullet in the barrel isn't shooting. Unless the hammer is cocked, now the bullet in the barrel is going to shoot. So understanding how the gun works will tell you. Some guns spin counterclockwise. If you notice this is Smith, when I cock this hammer, the cylinder is going to spin counterclockwise. I know people are nervous. Damn, there's bullets in that gun. He's cocking the gun. So the cylinder is spinning counterclockwise. On a different gun, another revolver, and Colt, and I think this is a Taurus. I'm not sure. I don't think this is a Python. I got a Python, but I don't think this is it. You'll notice the cylinder spinning the opposite way. It goes clockwise. I don't want to shoot my neighbor in case it goes off. Clockwise. So, again, it doesn't matter which way the cylinder rolls. If I can grab this cylinder, I stop the gun from firing. Now, unload this sucker. So now if I'm looking down this gun, you should see no bullets in the cylinder. If there's no bullets in the cylinder, when I cock this gun, it doesn't matter whether it goes clockwise or counterclockwise, it's not going to load a round because there's no rounds. If somebody's pointing a revolver at me and I don't see any bullets in the cylinder, I'm going for the gun. And then I'm going for his throat, eyes, nose, etc. My disabling points. But I'm going for a gun because I know the gun's not loaded. I don't care if it's cocked or not. Now, theoretically, if it's cocked and the cylinder is already spin, when I pull the trigger, if there was a round in the chamber, it's going to shoot. But I know it's only got one round. And anytime I go for a gun, I'm always moving anyway. So if a guy's got a gun at me, and I've already cleared this, but I'll clear it for you freaking whining. He pointed a gun! It's dangerous! Call the police! Alright, when I'm going for a gun and it's in front of me like this, before I go for it, when I move, I'm moving the opposite way my hand's coming. So I'm moving this way, and my hand is pushing this way. So when I go for this gun, it'll look like this, and I'm grabbing for the cylinder or the back piece. And that's what's going to stop me. Even if he gets a shot off, when I go like that quick, I've got this gun. Even if it fires, it's not going to hit me. It may ring my ears, and then I'm going to go into my takedown. So when would you go after a revolver? Looking for those things. Hammer, finger on trigger, bad grip up here. Is there rounds that I can see? All those things for a revolver. So let's look at a Glock. A Glock, there's no safety. The only safety is your finger. I know everybody thinks that comes from Black Hawk. That's been around for years, people. Okay, my finger's my safety. So when you have a Glock, until I depress this pistol grip, it ain't gonna fire right now if I try to move this until I move that little piece. and it's loaded, there's a gun in the chamber. So what am I looking for on a Glock? Well, if I know it's a Glock and I recognize the Glock, I know there's no safety, so I'm not looking for a safety. I just got to assume the gun's loaded, etc. However, if a guy's pointing a gun around and doing all this, and I see that there's no mag, I know in an automatic there's only a maximum of 1 round that may be in this chamber. So he may get 1 shot off, but I know his gun is done after that 1 shot. That's going to, could be in my calculations on when and how I'm going for this gun. Now, got a little, my little Springfield here, 1911, loaded, cocked, and locked. Here's the safety. It's up. I know it's up because I'm a 1911 guy, and I know this gun isn't ready to fire until I push that down. Safe, fire. Safe, fire. So, again, am I looking down this barrel? Same thing. If I'm pointing around this gun, is there a magazine in it? Magazine's in it. Magazine's not in it. I'm looking for that. I'm evaluating it when he's holding it. I'm trying to get a glance at this on how the gun. Is there a round in the chamber? If it's light enough, you can probably see a round in the chamber. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. Yeah, you can. See that little round in there? Hi, buddy. Hi, I'm Mr. Bullet, and I'm about to cap your ass. All right, so there's a bullet in there. Is there no bullet in there? I took the bullet out. Now it's clear. Now when you look down there, there should be no bullet. Again, you're going to have the right lighting in order to see this. However, you're going to know if there's a bullet in the chamber. Those are things I'm going to look at. So if I'm looking at a gun with a safety, I've got to know where the safety's at and is it up or down. And I've got to be able to assess that pretty quickly. But when you're nervous if somebody's pointing a gun at you, you'll be surprised how much you see. You know, they can point a 22 at you and ask you later, how big's the barrel? Man, it was this freaking big. Well, I mean, a 45's got a pretty good barrel, but doesn't matter. Your eyes and your focus, your heart rate's going to go up. You're going to get that tunnel vision. You're going to lose your peripheral vision, all the things that happen in fight or flight, and you're going to start noticing things about this gun. Is the hammer back? If this is a 1911 and the hammer is back, I'm pretty sure I cleared this, but since I'm working with loaded guns, I won't. So, if this is a 1911 and the hammer's forward, I know this gun cannot fire until it's cocked. So if I see a 1911 with the hammer forward, I don't care if it's on safe or not. I'm going for the gun. Because I know he has to either cock this manually if there's a round in the chamber, or he has to rack this round and put a round in. And until that hammer's back, he can't shoot. Now, not all guns are like that. I've got some H&Ks that you can see. They got internal. I've got another, I talked about revolvers here. And again, this was loaded. I don't know if you can see the bullets inside there or not. Bang, 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 oh shit! No, that's a laser. Don't panic, people. So on this one, I've got an internal hammer. I like internal hammers. I like internal hammers on my revolvers. I like them on automatics. There's nothing to manipulate or move. When I squeeze this trigger, it shoots. Everything happens internally. Nobody can affect this. I can shoot this from inside my pocket, inside a purse, inside a jacket. Nothing to get messed with. The only thing that moves on this is the trigger going back and the revolver or the cylinder spinning. So, internal hammers, you don't have those visual cues. On other ones, you do have visual cues. I don't know if I'm at 15 minutes. Hopefully I'm not. I've posted this on my horse channel and they'll be crying about, this ain't horse. Why are you posting guns on a horse? Shut up. Alright, so that's things to consider when you're disarming somebody or whether you're going to jump them.